welcome to Sunday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where yes, we're doing Fog of War today. This puzzle on the screen is called the Positive Diagonal, and it's by 99% Sneaky. And whenever I see the pseudonym 99% Sneaky, I don't know what it is. It's the completionist in me that wants to know what the 1% of 99% Sneaky is. But anyway, if you've not seen Fog of War Sudoku before, this is the fantastic innovation that works brilliantly in terms of computer solving, because the idea is that if you could deduce what this digit was, when you enter this digit and it's correct, it clears the fog from the surrounding cells, and that allows constructors to play all sorts of games with us. It really is. It's just a beautiful thing. And I've read the rules to this one. It's only got 2 stars out of 5 for difficulty, but it's got a really unusual rule set. There's a clone between box 1 and box 9 down there, and we'll have a look at this in a moment or two's time, and I'll read you the rules properly. I've not got much news today. I'm going to tell you that over on Patreon we've got Demono's story Sudoku hunt as our monthly reward for November. Loads of you have been enjoying that, unsurprisingly. We also, slightly more esoteric, we have My Solve of Crux by Dyer, which is an astronomically difficult puzzle. Well, at least I thought it was. I think most people who have tried it do think it's very hard. It took me 2 hours and 42 minutes to make my way through it. So if you are into very, very long Sudoku videos, that is available over on Patreon now. We are going to release that on the main channel in a few days' time. So if you are, if you're not a patron but you do like long videos, then you will be able to see it, and I hope it's going to be worth the wait. Now, the only other thing I wanted to mention today is birthdays, and I've got 3 birthdays to read out. So I'm going to start with Cody. Cody, you've turned 26, and I know this because your girlfriend Annie wrote to us. Now, I'm not sure where you are, Cody, but I wish you many happy returns, and I hope you have an enormous slab of chocolate cake to celebrate. Next, Robert, it's your birthday. And this is because it's not your birthday because your friend Rohan wrote to us, but the reason I know it's your birthday is because your friend Rohan wrote to us, and I'm not sure where you are, Robert. I want to say I think Rohan's in Seattle, but I'm not sure whether you're in Seattle, and I don't know why my brain is saying that to me. I've not written it on my paper, so that could be totally wrong. I've often wondered, actually, if I've read out a birthday as sort of somebody's name and then from somebody, whether anybody listening has had a birthday that day and does have a friend called that, but has found out subsequently it wasn't that friend that recommended their birthday, and it's just coincidence. It's like that thing about if you have, this is a well-known statistic, so loads of you are going to know this already, but forgive me, because I do think it's one of those, it's a really nice mathematical thing. If you have 75 people in a room, what is the probability that at least 2 of those people share a birthday? And I'm sure most of you know this already, but the answer, I think, is something like 99.9%. And that's because, of course, of all of the cross birthdays. You know, it's not just a case of does person number 1 share a birthday with the other 74. It's once you introduce person number 2, then of course person number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way up to 75 could have a shared birthday with number 2 as well. So you end up having an awful lot of cross dependence. It's lovely. It's a lovely mathematical thing. Anyway, sorry. Let's move on to Will. Will, it's your birthday. You've turned the big 40 today. And I know this because your wife Ashley wrote to us and told us about that. And she says that you are obsessed by Sudoku. Will, you're my kind of person. Fantastic. And I hope that you have a brilliant day. And I hope you enjoy the Positive Diagonal by 99% Sneaky, as I am about to do. These are the rules of the puzzle. We've got normal Sudoku rules apply. So we have to put the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, every column, and in every 3x3 box. Digits along an arrow sum to the digit in the attached circle. Arrows do not branch or overlap. Digits along a group... Oh, hang on, that's a different rule. So we have got an arrow that we can see. So imagine this was a 4-5 pair. 4 plus 5 is 9, so we would write 9 in the circle. If this was a 3-6 pair, well, you'd still write 9 in. Why did my brain go there? I don't know. Yeah, you basically add up the 2 digits on the arrow, you put it in the circle. Digits along a green line must have a difference of at least 5. Okay, so there is a green line emerging from the fog here. So imagine this corner cell was a 1. Then this square would have to be at least 5 different from 1. So it would have to be 6, 7, 8 or 9. That's how green lines work. Digits separated by a black dot are in a 1:2 ratio, i.e. one is double the other. So there are 2 black dots in view. So imagine this square was a 4. Then this square could either be 2, because 4 is double 2, or it could be 8, because 8 is double 4. But one of those things must be true. Digits separated by a white dot are consecutive. So I can't see any white dots. Let's imagine there was a white dot between sort of at the center of this domino. Then, and if this was a 2, then that would have to be a 1 or a 3 to make sure it's consecutive with the digit in the other cell. Not all dots are necessarily given. So that's telling us it's perfectly possible. Let's imagine there's no dot. Well, let's look at this. We can see there's no black dot on this domino. That doesn't prevent one of these digits being double the other. One of these digits could be double the other. We just know positive information about those 2 dominoes. So sometimes it's called the lack of a negative constraint, but it's basically... actually, we do and ah about whether or not we should include the rule, not all dots are necessarily given, because it's really not strictly necessary to give that rule. We could go down a long trail there. Anyway, digits may not repeat along the marked diagonal. Now, I am guessing, because of the title of the puzzle, the positive diagonal is sometimes called this diagonal here. And that's because if this was a graph of y against x, and this was the y-axis and this was the x-axis, the gradient of this line would be positive, whereas the gradient of that line would be negative. Now, okay, and I can't see any markings in that cell. There is a green line in that cell, but I can't see any markings in this cell. So I'm guessing it's this line, but it might not be. I mean, it's possible it could be that. That might be a marked diagonal, for example. And then if that is the marked diagonal, we just mustn't repeat a digit along that diagonal. So I'm not sure. We're going to have to find out, I think, where the marked diagonal lives. Then it says boxes 1 and 9 are clones, meaning that each digit is in the same relative position in both boxes, i.e. if row 1 column 1 is 8, so if this is 8, then row 7 column 7 must also be 8. So what it's basically saying is that those 2 digits are the same. These 2 digits are the same. These 2 digits are the same. So that when we filled this box in, it will look identical to this box, which is quite an interesting rule. We don't do many clone puzzles. Additionally, the grid is partially covered in fog, and placing correct digits will clear the fog from the surrounding cells, possibly revealing more clues. So that is just the nature of Fog of War Sudoku. Do have a go. These are fantastic fun. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. But now I get to play. Let's get cracking. Now, I think this box, it's got to be something to do with interplay of these cells and these cells, I think. Well, because that's all we've got. And okay, I can see one thing here. Let's give me a second or two to see whether that is even worth commenting on. Yeah, okay, so I think, I'm not sure, but I think this is about low digits. Why do I say that? Well, there is a secret about green lines, and that I think is relevant here. So the secret about a green line is that this cell here you could never put 5 on a green line, and that's because if you do put 5 on a green line, what's the next digit? And because the next digit would have to be at least 5 different from 5, you can see if you go up, you get to 10 or higher, and if you go down, you get to 0 or lower, and they are not Sudoku digits. So these 2 squares, we don't know where this green line goes, but we know those 2 squares are definitely not 5s. But also, let's ask the same question about black dots. Now, there are 3 digits in Sudoku you can never put on a black dot, and those digits are 5, 7, and 9. And let's think about why. If you put 5 on a black dot, then for this cell to be double 5 or half 5, obviously 2.5 is not a Sudoku digit, neither is 10. If this was 7, 14 and 3.5 don't work, and if this was 9, 18 and 4.5 don't work. So 5, 7 and 9 are not in those squares, but 5 is also not in this one or this one. And that means that 5 in box 9 is in one of these squares. Now that is mapping rather curiously to exactly the cells that include the arrow in box 1. And the reason I think that's interesting is I am going to claim that that cell can't be a 5, which actually might not be doing very much, but the reason I'm thinking about that is that obviously if this was a 5, these squares are both very low digits. These would have to be from 1, 2, 3 and 4, because they'd have to be lower than 5. And therefore these squares would have to be from 1, 2, 3 and 4. But now I think we've got a big problem here, because of the nature of black dots and the nature of German whispers. We have to combine all of those things into a big barrel of Sudoku logic and see what pops out the other side. And the problem is that we have an issue, because a black dot in Sudoku always has at least one low digit. And we can see that because if we just cycle through the options, you can have a 1 and a 2 on a black dot, you can have a 2 and a 4 on a black dot, you could have a 3 and a 6 on a black dot, or you could have a 4 and an 8 on a black dot. So in each of those options there was at least one low digit. So there's definitely a low digit here, there's definitely a low digit here. And more secrets about German whispers lines I think come into play here, because let's think about, we know this German whisper line is at least 2 cells long. Therefore, one of these digits will always be lower than 5. Because imagine that this square was higher than 5, so 6, 7, 8 or 9. This digit has to be at least 5 different from 6, 7, 8 or 9. And even if this was 9 and it was only exactly 5 different, it would still be 1, 2, 3 or 4. So the way to think about this is to say that that W pentomino of digitage in box 9 has at least 3. No, sorry, and I've got to include that one as well, because sorry, I was doing the example and then thinking this couldn't be low. So it's not a W pentomino, it's a sort of staircase sextuplet. The staircase sextuplet has at least 3 low digits. 3 of the digits 1, 2, 3 and 4. So how could this be a 1, 2, 3, 4 domino? That would mean there were 5 cells at least in this box that contained only 4 different digits, and that will necessitate one of those digits repeating, which can't happen. So there's a slightly worrying thing here. I'm sure it'll resolve itself, but what that means is that is not a 5 and this is not a 5. So we now know this is high, in the sense that in German whispers language, let's get rid of the 1, 2, 3, 4. We're only going to have one low digit here. Now this is at least 6. And that means that's at least 6 by clone. And there is one low digit here, because obviously we can't put 5 and 6 on a line, for example, and make this add up to 11. So there's one low digit here. I now understand. Right. So let's do the minimum counts for each domino in terms of low digits in this box. Now there must be exactly one low digit here. There must be at least one low digit on the green line, but we don't know. The green line could be going elsewhere, but there's at least one low digit in those 2 squares. Now, well, I'm going to correct that. There's exactly one low digit in purple. Now, this domino does have at least one low digit on it, because it could be 1, 2 or 2, 4, and if it was either of those there would be 2 low digits. So there's at least one here, and there's at least one on the other black dot. So those 4 different colours definitely have at least one of the digits 1, 2, 3 and 4 on them. And that means this is a very nice beginning to a fog of war, because what that means is that the green domino and the blue domino can't have 2 low digits in them. So they are not 1, 2 or 2, 4. So they are 3, 6 and 4, 8. Which means that square is now odd. Which means that square is now odd. Oh, well, no, we know what it is actually. We're going to have digits. We now have digits because, well, we know there's 5 on this line. So, and we can't put 4 into this domino in this box because we know that this is a 3, 4, 6, 8 quadruple. So this must be, well, this must add up to 7. So it's 2, 5, which means this is 2, 5. Oh, whoopsie. This is 2, 5. This is definitely 7, and this is definitely 7 by clone. Oh, we had this the other day, didn't we? There was a puzzle where I got to put 3 digits in at once. I want to say it was by Flinty in a fog of war, and so it revealed loads of stuff. But anyway, look, these 2 squares, we're going to be able to do them. They're both 7s, and we should clear fog, and we did clear fog. So I see. So these are 1 and 9. Oh, we've got to make sure, actually. I've got to do this carefully. So these are 1 and 9. These are all 3s, 4s, 6s and 8s. Ah, okay, but this one... Right, okay, you can't put 3, 6 in this domino anymore. Because if we did, what would this square be? It's either got to be 1.5 or it's got to be 12. Because it can't be 3 or 6, and 1.5 and 12 are not Sudoku digits. So, in fact, yeah, I guess I see how this is working. So this is 4, 8. Now, if this was 8, that's going to be 4, and that's going to be 4, so that doesn't work. So that's got to be 4, that's got to be 8, that's got to be 2, bit more fog cleared. So this is going to do loads, actually. This has got to be 4, this has got to be 8. So these squares are now 3 and 6. Now we can do, well, probably we think about that arrow, I guess. Yeah, there must be a circle in this square, because otherwise we're adding up 4 different digits in the puzzle to give a circle. And 4 different digits in Sudoku, especially when you can't include 2 as one of the digits. Well, if you try and add up 1, 3, 4 and 5, you'll get 13, and that's too many to put in one cell. So this is a circle, and this has got to include 1, because otherwise it would be 3, 4, 5, which add up to 12. What about if there's no 3 on this arrow? Well, then that doesn't work either. If there was no 3 on this arrow, it would be 1, 4, 5 minimum, and that adds up to 10, which again is not a single digit total. So there's definitely 1 and 3. And there could be 4, perhaps. 1, 3, 4. And that would add up to 8. So that could be 8, but it could be 1, 3, 5. Maybe. Can't see why that doesn't work. So this, I think, is 8 or 9. And these squares are from 1, 3, 4 and 5. So bobbins. Let me just think about this. That square can't be 1. Because of the white dot. If this is 1, that has to be 2, and there's already a 2 in the box. So that's not 1. Ah, lovely. Okay, there's a parity point here as well. This can't be 4. And that's because this would then have to be 3 or 5 to be consecutive with it. And 5 isn't available, and 3 would be there in box 8. So that's not 4. Now that means that this square here is odd, which means, because if you think about any consecutive pair of digits, there's always going to be an odd digit, there's always going to be an even digit. So this is even, and it can't be 2. So that's got to be 4 or 6. Now, Is that doing something? So if that's 6, that's got to be 5. And that's got to be a 1-3 pair. And that would be a 9. But if that's 4... Oh, okay, so it doesn't matter. I think this is always a 9. The way I saw that was I thought about if that's 4. And if that's 4, then this arrow can't have 4 on it, and it's forced to be 1, 3, 5. And if that's 6, then there's 5 on the arrow, and it's forced to be 1, 3, 5. So sorry, that's obvious. This is always 1, 3, 5. And that, therefore, I think is 9. Doing great. We're doing... okay, 2 things. Firstly, we're doing great, apparently. Thank you very much, 99% sneaky. Secondly, it does look like there's going to be a line going up the positive diagonal. So it probably is this diagonal that we're going to have to not repeat a digit on. Now, this is 9, so this is 9. Oh, I see what this is going to do. So now... Oh, when I put that in, I see it's clearing fog from that cell. Oh, I should probably get rid of all my colouring because I can't see the fog. Now, that's a 9, so that's a 9, and that's going to clear fog. And therefore, this is a 1. We've got another line that's appeared here. We've got a white dot here. There's got to be a 9 on that in this domino. There's got to be a 1 there. Right, okay, so this is a 3-5 pair, and that means this is 3, this is 6, which means this is 3, this is 6. Okay, so we've got a very short green line, and we've almost found our complete clones, haven't we? We've just got the 2, 5 to resolve here, or here is going to resolve the other way round as well. So, it's quite difficult for that to be a high digit. When I say a high digit, I mean a digit that's higher than 5, because if it's higher than if this digit is higher than 5, it can't be 6, because 6 is monogamous. That's the third secret of German whispers. If you have a 6 on a German whispers line, it only ever partners up with 1, because that's the only digit that's 5 away. So if this is 6, that would be a 1, and it would clash. So the only high digit this could be is 7, which would have to go with 2. 7, 2. This would be high. But couldn't be 6 because 2 and 6 are 4 apart, and it couldn't be 9 because there's a 9 in the column, and it couldn't be 7, so this would be 8. And that would place an 8 here. But the problem is that... no, this is lovely. That is lovely. Right, this is very clever. Okay, so this line always has 8 on it. So what I've noticed is either this square is a 7 and that made this square have to be an 8, or we have to put a high digit in the middle instead. And which high digit can this be? It's C, 6, 7 and 9. So there's always an 8 in one of those two squares, and that gives me an 8 here by Sudoku. You've got this. Right, this line here, this arrow you can see emanating from this circle, can't have a 1 on it. So this is at least adding up to 5, isn't it? Because if that's 2, 3, which is the least it could be, that's 5. I don't know what that means. I'm just going to pencil mark it if that's all right. It's not 8 because we just said there's an 8 on this line. So that's 5, 6 or 7. Now, what does that mean? Oh, right, it's not 7, is it? Where's 7 in this box? Oh, hang on, this is big. Right, sorry. Has this been available for... No, this hasn't been available for ages. I was suddenly worried that I'd missed a very significant point here, but I don't think I did. Because it's only since this 8 has been placed here that the 7 in box 8 has to be in one of those squares. This is a really good fog of war puzzle. So this square now can't be 7, but much more importantly than that, what's this digit? It now can't be 9, 8, 7, and we said it couldn't be 6, so it's low, which tells us the polarity of the whisper line. If this is low, this has got to be high, and this certainly can't be 8, so this is 8. Didn't reveal anything else, but these, well, this square has to be a 1, because it can't be 2 or 3 by Sudoku, and 4 and 8 are only 4 apart, so that's a 1. It's not going to reveal any fog, because we've already revealed the fog around this square, and this square is 2 or 3. Now, can we do better than that? Probably. Don't immediately see how, though. Okay, so how should we approach this then? Doesn't there have to be a 2 on this line? If this is adding up to 5 or 6 and it can't involve 1, it is either 2, 3 or 2, 4. There's definitely a 2 on it. These squares are from, I want to say 4, 6 and 7. That might be wrong. 4, 6 and 7. I have a feeling this dot is somehow resolved. If this was 6, 5, 6 and 5 would be here. No, that maybe even looks likely. What about if that's 4, 3? Then there'll be a 4 in one of these. I don't know. The other thing it could be is Sudoku, which I'm obviously willfully neglecting. How do we do this then? Is it going to be... Is it the... No, we haven't got any further with our clone. In fact, I might just highlight those squares, just to remind me that there is a mutual dependence between them. And... one thing we could think about... This row is effectively, well, these 6 cells in it are effectively done. These have to be 2, 4 and 8 by Sudoku. That's probably interesting. In this column, that can't be 8, that can't be 4. That one seems to have all the options. We've now got 2 even digits, definitely, or 2 cells that must contain even digits in column 2. And remember, a white dot always has to have an even digit on it. So between those cells there are 3 even digits. So if that was a 2, that would be a 4. This would have to have 6 on it. That square's not 4, I've just noticed. So this is 6 or 7. Bobbins. I can't see how to do it. What about... How should we do this then? Oh, Sudoku. 2, 2. That's got to be a 2. That was remarkably underwhelming. There's a 2 over here. Oh, no, it's fine. Right, so now look at column 4. Where's 3? And the answer is, I don't know. But it's definitely in one of those 2 squares. And if it's in one of those 2 squares, it's definitely not there. Right, so that gives us 2 and 4. And 2 plus 4 is equal to 6. There's another thing. Is that saying keep it up? Let me just... I've got to look at that. Keep it up. Yeah, okay. I'm trying. Right, this 6 is giving me a 7 here. And that gives me a 4 here. And that gives me a 6 there. Oh, if this is 6, that's 5 by dottage. So this is 3. This is a 3, 5 pair, I think, to complete this column. We've got some things going on got a new black dot that's emerged here. Now, can we do any better? 5 is in one of those squares. There's probably a load of Sudoku we can do here. 6 is in one of these squares. This is a 2. Oh, oh, hang on, look, there's a 2-4 pair on this diagonal. Is that, so that's not a 2. So we can't repeat digits along this diagonal. I'm assuming this diagonal isn't going to sort of suddenly wander off. I suppose that might, maybe I'll have to put that back. I'm pretty sure, I mean, it's called the positive diagonal, but maybe until I can see it, I'm not supposed to assume anything. Right, okay, what are these squares then? This is 1, 7, and 9. Chocolate treat. That is chocolate teapot worthy, isn't it? That can't be 7, that can't be 1, that can't be 9. So that's no good. We could get a 3 in the corner, because I think these have got to be, well, 3, 5, and 6 it looks like. So this one is 5. That what does that one say? Is it crushing it, maybe? Hang on. I want to just see what's under the fog there. Crushing it. You know what this is? This is absolutely beautiful. It's the diagonal is being positive about. It is a positive diagonal. It's actually saying positive things to us. Oh, that is witty. That really is witty. I love that. 99% sneaky. That is very clever. Right, hang on. And we could get a 3 in the corner. Let me just think about this for a second or two. What's going on? Can we... I can't quite see. I suspect there's Sudoku, but I've got distracted by this diagonal. 1, 2, 4, 7, 8 into these squares. Got to be a bit careful with this domino. Look, do have to be a bit careful with it because it can't be a 2-4 pair. Oh, it can't be. Hang on, it can't be a 3-6 pair either. Yeah, I think this is where we're meant to look now. I haven't quite worked out what it is we're meant to be deducing. But if because this cell cannot be 3 or 6, this is definitely made up from the string 1, 2, 4, and 8. Now, it can't be 2, 4, so it's either 1, 2, which would place a 1 here, and a 2 here, or it's 4, 8, and this would have to be 8, and this would have to be 4. So now, oh, I see. Right, so now I've got 2 4 pairs all over the place. And that means that square's a 5. Now that's in my purple. So I'm allowed now to go, it's not going to give me any fog clearance, but that must be 5 and 2. So this square is not 2. Is it doing more than that? Maybe not. Okay, we get a 2 here, so that becomes an 8, and that is in the fog. I think that says you can do it. Right, that's now not... We might have to colour these 2s and 4s, you know, because they're definitely all linking up together. Now, can we do... I really hope it keeps giving me messages along every cell of this diagonal. That will please me for reasons I can't quite, articulate, but it just will. This is a beautiful next digit. That's a 6. It's exactly what we said earlier. We said in this column, the white dot has to contain an even digit. And now look, I've got the 2 4 pair there, and I've got an 8 here. So the only even digit that can go on the white dot is 6, and that's a 6, so that's gorgeous. This is very, very good, this puzzle. Now that's got to be 7, because it can't be 5. Right, so that's got to be 9, that's got to be 1, that's got to be 7. That's got to be... Oh, we didn't get it. No, we didn't get a 3 in the corner. We got a 6 in the corner. That's a travesty. 359 down there. Okay, so if that's 359, these squares are the same. How do we finish this off now? Maybe it's not. Yeah, that's weird, isn't it? So, sorry, the reason I'm just pausing is it looks to me, or feels to me at least, like I've used up all the clues. The only clue I haven't used up, I suppose, is if we make the assumption the positive diagonal goes there, then we've got 1, 3, 5, 8, 9. Sorry, what was that? 1, 3, 5, 8, 9. So that's an 8. That's interesting. So I think that's legitimate, isn't it? I mean, is there any other interpretation of the rules here? Let me just go back and reread the rules. Digits may not repeat along the marked diagonal. It says diagonal, so it can't wiggle about. So yeah, so I think if that is a reasonable assumption, what we're saying is that under the fog is a line that does that must contain all of the digits 1 to 9, because this is a 9-cell diagonal which can't contain a repeat. Then you can see that the digits we've got left to place are 1, 3, 5, 8 and 9, and that square can't be 1, 3, 5 or 9, so I think this is an 8. Almost there. I believe in you. The diagonal is still being very positive about us. 8 is in one of those 3, I think. Right, so what's that done now? We now need 1, 3, 5 and 9. Ooh, so that square is... Hang on. That can't be 2, can it? Because 2 and 4 have appeared here. Okay, so 2 must go there, which means 2 is in one of these squares. And I think I'm going to be reduced to good-living this diagonal with 1, 3, 5 and 9. And what can we get rid of? 1 comes out of there and 5. 9 comes out of there. This one? That one can't be 3 or 5. Oh. Hang on. Is this resolved somehow? It probably is. I just can't see how. Right, 7 is in one of those squares. Now I can see that might be interesting, because now 7 appears to be... This is a 5, 6, 7 triple now. We can, and that becomes a 5. That's going to... Oh no, it cleared fog, but not in a useful way. So these squares are now 3, 4 and 9, which means that square is a 3. And that's going to clear more fog. Oh, and look at it. Every cell on this diagonal does have some sort of mess. Keep up your spirits. All right, let's go, probably. That's it's brilliant, isn't it? I think it's brilliant. I think it's very witty, actually. Right, so this is 4, 9, so that's a 1. So that's a 5. Yeah, it's clearing the fog, isn't it? That's 3, that's 5. On the diagonal now, we've got a 9 up here, which means that's 9, that's 4. This row hasn't had a 3 in it, so let's put that in. There's a 3 in one of those squares, which is probably useful. This column hasn't got a 9 in it, so the 9 has to go here. That's no longer able to be 9. 9, 9. There's a 9 in one of those. A lot of this is probably resolved, but I'm taking my time and enjoying the puzzle. 1, 4, 6 and 7. So 1 in this box has to go there. That clears a bit more fog. We found something else underneath the fog there. So what do we need in this column? 4, 5. Yeah, 4, 5 and 7 as a white dot. So that must be 4 and 5, because they're the only 2 digits that are consecutive, and the 5 is there. So that's going to clear all the fog. 4, 7 7 goes here. This square has to be a something. 8, I think. So this is now 1. That's 2. That's 2. That's 4. That's 2. That's 4 on the diagonal. That's 4 by Sudoku. We've not put 8 in this column. So that's 8 apparently. And it's just going to be a case of tidying up now. If I haven't made a ricket, which I hope I haven't. It's felt logical, hasn't it? It's a lovely, it's a really lovely puzzle. This 9, 6 into this row. This is now a 2, 3 pair, so we can fill that in. We haven't put 1 in the box. That's got to be a 7, so that's 7, that's 6, and in the top row we've not put in 4 and 6. So that's 6 and that's 4. That could be right. Let's see. Yes, the solution is correct. 44 minutes. Solve counter 592. These puzzles are so popular, with good reason. That deserves all the plaudits in the world. I absolutely love the fact that this diagonal is not only the positive diagonal literally, but it's also sort of in a literary way the positive diagonal. 99% sneaky. Thank you for making me laugh, and thank you for, it was a very good puzzle. I love the way that constructors are sort of coming up with ideas like this. It's a beautiful idea, wasn't it? It really was. I quite like the fact that had to have an 8 on it as well. That was very clever. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Let me know in the comments if you had a go. And let me know how you got on. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind. We'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.